Do you think you know your wife? Ted from Houston thought he did until a pregnancy test revealed a lie that shattered his world. This is a story of heartbreaking betrayal and Texas retribution as cold as the morning wind. Listen to the end to find out how a man picks his life back up from the ruins and what lies behind her latest threat. I've always believed that if trouble was headed my way, I'd catch wind of it, like a dust devil kicking up across the flatlands, giving a man time to brace himself. I'm Ted Crawford, 52, a Houston roughneck who spent years hauling pipe and punching clocks for Gulf Coast drilling. Thought I'd seen enough of life's curves to know when one was coming. But sometimes trouble doesn't whistle. It just lands like a sucker punch, leaving you dazed and scrambling to figure out how you didn't see it. Up until 8 months ago, I reckoned I had a decent setup. Been married to Clara for 15 years. Met her a honky-tonk off 610 when I was still swinging hammers, and she was clerking for some downtown law firm. She's 48 now, sharp as a tack, with a cool edge that used to reel me in. No kids, never planned any. Just us in our little ranch-style place in Spring Branch, a stone's throw from the bayou. I liked it that way. Worked my tail off, sure, but coming home to her quick wit and a cold beer made it square. Lately, though, she'd been pulling back. Headaches, late nights at the firm, needing space. I chalked it up to her climbing the ladder, chasing partner status. Excuses stacked up like cordwood, and I let 'em. Then came the find that turned my world sideways. It was a Tuesday, gray and muggy, the kind of day that sticks to your skin. I come home early, rig shut down for maintenance, and Claire was still at the office, or so she said. Needed a shower, so I ducked in the guest bath off the hall instead of our master suite. That's when I saw it, poking out of the trash can under a wad of tissues and a spent toothpaste tube. A pregnancy test. 2 green lines, bold as daylight. Positive. My hands locked up when I fished it out, my brain stalling hard. I just stood there, staring at those lines, trying to wrestle sense into what I was holding. Clara hadn't breathed a word about this. We weren't trying, not even close. For the last 8 months, she dodged anything resembling closeness with me. Not tonight, Ted. I'm beat, she'd say, or work's got me swamped. I let it slide, figuring she'd come around. But this wasn't some slip-up. Clara didn't do accidents. She's the type who plans her coffee breaks 3 days out. A legal eagle always 3 steps ahead. My chest tightened as the pieces started shifting, fury mixing with a cold, sinking dread. This wasn't just a pregnancy. This was something bigger, darker, something she'd buried deep. I didn't storm upstairs and call her out right then. That'd be too simple, and Clara's too slick. She'd twist it, spin some yarn till I was the one feeling off balance. Seen her do it before, smooth as silk, leaving folks apologizing for her own mess. No, I had to play this smart. She was a master at this game, and if I came at her with just a hunch, she'd dance circles around me. I wasn't handing her that win. So I slid the test back into the can, careful to pile the trash just like I found it, and walked out like nothing had happened. Inside, though, my guts were churning, my whole life tilting on its axis. My hands still shook as I sank into a chair at the kitchen table, pretending to fiddle with my phone. I strained to hear her when she'd get home, every creak of the floorboards upstairs setting me on edge. Took her till near dusk. She breezed in, hair still damp from a shower somewhere, maybe the gym she'd started hitting. Didn't even glance my way, just grabbed a glass, poured some sweet tea, and started scrolling her phone like the world was hers. I couldn't believe it. The nerve, acting like nothing was off, like I hadn't just stumbled over the kind of secret that cracks a marriage wide open. I wanted to grab that glass, slam it down, and demand the truth. Whose kid was she carrying? But I bit it back. Instead, I forced a grin, calm as a preacher on Sunday, and said, "You look rested. Big day at the firm." She flicked her eyes up, unreadable, then shrugged. Same old grind. Cases, memos, the usual. The way she said it, so smooth, so casual, twisted my stomach. She wasn't just hiding something. She was good at it, effortless. Like lying was her second nature now. If she thought I was some dim-wit husband who'd swallow her tales and keep on trucking, she was in for a rude awakening. I'd figure out what she was burying, and when I did, she'd wish she'd never taken me for a fool. That night, sleep wouldn't come. Not because I was tossing and turning, doubting myself. No, my mind was a machine, gears grinding. Clara was playing a hand, and I had to learn the stakes if I was going to outplay her. I lay there, her steady breathing beside me, oblivious to the thunder she'd set loose. Part of me wanted to believe there was some innocent angle, a mix-up, a friend's test, but my gut knew better. By sunrise, I had a plan. Start small, watch her close, let her think she held the reins. Folks like Clara get sloppy when they think they've already won. I just had to wait her out. The second I tucked that pregnancy test back into the trash, I knew I'd stepped into a different kind of mess. I'm Ted Crawford, 52, a Houston roughneck who's wrestled oil rigs and rode out storms for Gulf Coast drilling. Thought I could spot trouble a mile off, but this blindsided me. Clara, my wife of 15 years, had planted a landmine without even knowing I'd stumbled over it. 2 green lines glaring up from the guest bath trash can, and she hadn't said a peep. I wasn't about to tip my hand. Not yet. She'd always been slick, a legal mind that could talk circles around anyone. I had to match her step for step. Next morning, I played it cool as a long neck on ice. Sat at the kitchen table, sipping coffee, scrolling my phone like it was any other Wednesday. By dawn, my plan hardened. Watch her closer, spot the cracks, let her get comfy. She'd trip up eventually, and I'd be there to catch it all. I'd played the quiet game long enough, watching Clara's every move, letting her think I was still in the dark. I'm Ted Crawford, 52, a Houston roughneck who spent years reading the lay of the land, whether it's a drill site or a bar fight. That pregnancy test and the boutique receipt had lit a fuse, and I wasn't about to let fizzle out. Clara was too smooth, too sure of herself, but I'd seen her cracks. The locked office door, the phone glued to her hand, that fib about barbecue. It was all piling up. Time to dig deeper. Next day, I decided to tail her. She'd been piling on the late nights at the firm, excuse. 8 months of it, too tidy to be true. I wasn't the snooping type, never had been, but this wasn't about trust anymore. It was about knowing. She left at 7 a.m., sharp as always, her sleek gray SUV pulling out of our Spring Branch drive. I waited a beat, then fired up my beat-up Chevy hanging back behind an old F-150 parked down the street. Figured she'd head downtown to her law office, same as ever. She didn't. Instead, she veered west, past the loop, toward the suburbs. My pulse kicked up as I followed, keeping 2 cars between us. She pulled into a strip mall in Cypress, a quaint coffee shop tucked between a nail salon and a dry cleaner. I parked a block off, far enough she wouldn't spot me, close enough to see. Clara stepped out, dressed too nice for work, flowy skirt, crisp blouse, boots that clicked loud on the pavement. My gut twisted. This wasn't a client pit stop. She strode in, all confidence, and minutes later, a guy joined her. Tall, business casual, khakis, polo, the kind of easy strut that set my teeth on edge. They took a corner table, leaning close, her face lighting up with a smile I hadn't seen in months. He brushed her hand, casual but deliberate, and she didn't pull back. She leaned in, laughing. I gripped the wheel till my knuckles ached, the air in my truck going thick. This wasn't a coworker. This was personal. I fished out my phone, hand steady despite the heat rising in me, and snapped pics, zooming in on their cozy little scene. They stayed an hour, sipping coffee, sharing a muffin, lost in their bubble. When they left, he tucked a strand of hair behind her ear, and she beamed up at him like he hung the moon. My stomach churned, but I held it together, tailing them till they split, her to her SUV, him to a slick Audi. I drove home, mind racing, the photos burning a hole in my pocket. That evening, Clara waltzed in, all breezy charm, like she hadn't just spent her morning giggling with some stranger. Dropped her bag, poured water, chattered about a dull deposition. I nodded, watching her closer than ever. The phone stayed in her grip, 15 minutes in the bathroom again, door shut. Work call, she said, brushing it off. I let it slide, but my plan was set. Later, while she showered, I cracked her tablet. Password was our wedding date, too cocky to change it. Her inbox was a goldmine. Emails from Ben R. Playful, flirty, full of inside jokes. See you at the usual spot, one read. Then her calendar. Next Tuesday, 2 p.m. Dr. Ellis, prenatal. My breath caught. Prenatal. She wasn't just stepping out. She was carrying his kid. The truth hit like a rig collapse, heavy and final. I sat there, staring at that screen, the coffee shop pics flashing in my head. Ben, whoever he was, had waltzed into my life, and Clara let him. 8 months of lies, and now this. I wasn't breaking yet. I caught her scent, and I'd track it till she couldn't run. She thought I was too slow to catch on. She learned soon enough. I wasn't just some Houston has been. I was coming for the whole truth. I tracked Clara's trail far enough. Coffee shop smiles, flirty emails, that prenatal appointment locked in her calendar. I'm Ted Crawford, 52, a Houston roughneck who's hauled more than pipe in my day. I'd hauled patience, too, waiting for the right moment to strike. She thought she'd outfox me, playing the polished lawyer while I played the fool. But I had her now, photos, recordings, proof she couldn't dodge. Time to spring the trap. Friday rolled in, and I set the stage. Told her we'd go out, dinner at Los Cucos, a Mexican joint downtown with dim lights and sizzling fajitas. She raised a brow, but agreed, slipping into a teal dress that hugged her like a second skin, boots clicking sharp as she walked. Looked like a queen. It only stoked the fire in me. She dressed up for this lie, same as she had for Ben. We drove in silence, her scrolling her phone, me gripping the wheel, steady as a rig hand on a deadline. At the table, I let her settle, sipping her margarita, picking at chips, chatting about some goofy client. I nodded, all easy grins till the entrees hit. Then I leaned back, swirling my iced tea, and dropped the bait. Been thinking about us lately, Clara. Our future. Her forepaws midair, eyes flicking up cautious. Oh, what's got you all philosophical? Just noticing things, I said, voice smooth as gravel. You've been distracted, busy sure, but it's more than that. Thought we ought to talk. She blinked, caught off guard, then smiled, tight practiced. Distracted? Ted, it's just work. Cases piling up, you know how it goes. Work? I echoed, nodding slow. Right. Those late nights, the client meetings, all that hustle keeping you out till dark. Impressive. Her grip on the fork tightened, just a hair, but I saw it. What are you getting at? You sound like you don't trust me. Trust? I leaned forward, voice low, measured. I trust you to cover your tracks, Clara, to think you're smarter than the room. But I ain't as slow as you reckon. Her face froze, the margarita halfway to her lips. I reached into my pocket, pulled out my phone, and held it up, thumbnail of the coffee shop pic glowing clear. Her and Ben, cozy as could be. Her eyes widened, then narrowed, mask slipping. What's that supposed to be? She hissed, voice low but sharp. You know what it is, I said, calm as a preacher. I followed you, Clara. Saw you with Ben at that Cypress spot, laughing, touching like I don't exist. Then there's this. I tapped the screen, pulling up the calendar shot. Dr. Ellis, prenatal, Tuesday, 2 p.m. Been busy, huh? The restaurant hum faded, her breathing sharp in the silence. She set the glass down, slow, eyes darting like a cornered coyote. Keep your voice down, she snapped. You're jumping to conclusions. Am I? I leaned closer, voice steady. I've got pics, emails, your little usual spot chats with Ben. You're carrying his kid, Clara. Tell me I'm wrong. Her jaw clenched, defiance flashing. Then she laughed, cold, cutting. Fine, Ted, you want it straight? Yeah, it's Ben's. But it's not what you think. I scoffed, loud enough to turn a head nearby. Not what I think. You're joking. I saw you glowing with him. Something you haven't done with me in years. What's that about? Her eyes darkened, voice rising despite herself. You're stale, Ted. Same old routine. No spark. Ben gets me, sees me. I needed more. The words stung, a blade to the gut, but I held firm. More? 15 years I've held this up, and you toss it for some slick suit cause you're bored? You're twisting it, she shot back, louder now. You checked out, buried in your rigs, your beers. Don't play the saint. I let her words hang, then locked eyes. Checked out? How about you shutting me out, lying to my face, planning to pin this kid on me? That you're more? She faltered, no comeback ready. I slid the phone closer. Here's the deal. I've got everything. Pics, recordings, emails. 2 roads. You spill it all now, or I send this to Ben's wife tonight. Your call. Her face twisted, fury, fear all at once. You wouldn't dare. Try me, I said, voice ice. You thought I'd roll over, Clara. Thought wrong. She stared, hands gripping the table, her cool unraveling. For once, she had no play left. I caught her cold, and she knew it. That dinner at Los Cucos left Clara's game in tatters. I'm Ted Crawford, 52, a Houston roughneck who just turned the tables on 15 years of trust turned sour. She sat there, margarita forgotten, her cool lawyer facade cracked wide open by my phone. Photos, emails, that prenatal slot with Ben. I'd given her a choice. Spill it all, or watch it hit Ben's wife, Lisa. Her defiance flickered, then died. Fine, she'd hissed, voice low. You win, Ted. It's over. Next morning, I laid it out colder than a January wind. Pack your bags, Clara. You're done here. She glared, eyes blazing, but she knew I had her dead to rights. Took her 2 hours, suitcases thumped down the stairs, boots clicking out the door. Before she left, she turned, venom in her stare. This ain't finished, Ted. You'll see. I shrugged. Keep dreaming. Her SUV peeled out, and the house went still, empty, but lighter. I wasn't done. Ben had to feel the heat, too. Dug up Lisa's email from his work profile. Senior consultant, family man, 2 kids, a lab in every pic. Perfect cover for a snake. I sent her the works. Coffee shop shots, clinic footage, flirty threads with Clara. Kept it short, no frills, just facts. An hour later, Lisa replied, shaken but grateful. Filing tomorrow, she wrote. Thank you. Ben's world was crumbling, and I'd lit the match. Clara tried calling once, a week later. Left a voicemail, voice tight. We need to talk, Ted. Deleted it without a blink. She'd burned that bridge, and I wasn't rebuilding it. Word trickled back through old pals. Her fling with Ben fizzled fast. Lisa's divorce hit him hard. His firm sidelined him. Whispers of bad optics. Clara bolted from Houston. Last I heard, chasing some fresh start. Didn't care where. She wasn't my weight to carry anymore. The house felt different now, quiet but mine. Took up whittling again. Ran the bayou trails at dawn. Cracked beers with buddies who'd always pegged Clara as trouble. The sting of her betrayal lingered, a dull ache, but it didn't own me. I clawed my life back, piece by piece, and stood taller for it. Then came the burr that wouldn't shake, her parting shot. This ain't finished. And rumors Ben was asking around town, digging for dirt. Didn't know what they were cooking, but I kept my eyes open, my footing sure. I'd won this round, kept my ground, sent them packing. Whatever shadow they cast next, I'd face it head on, a Texan through and through.